Welcome back to BLOCKTV, and you're watching Traders Take, where we have the chance to take a look at the crypto charts and see what the market is doing. Joining us to break those down for us is obviously BLOCKTV's technical analyst Joe Saz, joining us from New York. How are you, Joe?
Excellent, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for being on with us as per usual. So we had a crazy weekend, as we discussed, yesterday, the day before, but it seems like now we're going down the straight and narrow. Things are looking good. What's going on with Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think you're kind of right. We're calming down quite a bit, and it's kind of weird when we get these big moves and very little price action that follows. We pretty much everything happened in that 12-hour period of time. So let's just jump to the charts and kind of look at what's happened. A couple moves to the downside, and this is what's throwing me off. And I've been talking about this for so long, that the volume on the downside moves is like significant. And this is actually a trade that I wanted to get into. I think I might be a little late now, but this is what's confusing me, Ron. It's like we have this big volume candlestick to the downside. We have no volume back to the upside. I mean, it still shows me that bulls are exhausted. And so I'm still trying to figure out, if that's the case, then what the heck happened over here, right? With like this crazy, I mean, was this even crazy volume? Let's look at this volume relative to this sell. So yeah, it was pretty crazy volume. All right, 100%. There was definitely some serious volume involved in this pump. But I'm still trying to figure out, I still have a lot of thinking to do and figuring out to do. I did see some stuff, but I'll talk about it another time. I need to get a little bit more info. But the 15-minute
but just
chart
like just at first glance on the front of manipulation versus organic, what are we thinking?
Oh, I'm thinking we're probably in an organic space right now. A little dump that got saved by some bulls. Now, what I'm worried about is if this kind of stuff keeps happening and bears keep getting faked out. We had a little pump that brought us out. This would have been a good opportunity to short. And then we have this, extra volume, and you can see the volume here, like an extra pump that brings us out of the previous high of before the dump. And this is the kind of stuff that was faking out bears on the way up after we went parabolic April 2nd. And this is what's starting to scare me a little bit. Are we moving into positions that are going to be faking out the bears over and over again, and then pushing us into even higher price areas? So we're still early into this, post pump, analysis. But and when I say post pump, I mean obviously like 30% is just absolutely insane. But so I still think right now we're looking okay. I got to say that we haven't really made a break in either direction. The bulls saved us here. There's definitely a lot of volume. There's not that much wick space. So I'm inclined to think that this was some serious bag holders that are definitely dumping their coins, but they're doing so slowly. And I'm wondering if that's going to create like another descending triangle or something, because Bitcoin does have a tendency to rip the Band-Aid off, and we're kind of creating, we definitely have a top and we definitely have lower highs. So until we get a lower low, I say we're kind of in a pennant formation. That's for now, I would say very neutral, and some would say that if we were to draw something out like that, it would look something like this. I'm just kind of throwing something together here so we have a little bit of something technical to rely on. But basically, this is the flagpole right here. As you can see, this pretty much this entire distance. So chances are, wherever we break, it's probably going to be about that equivalent in one direction or another. So, I mean, a breakout to the upside, I think it's a little premature. I think this thing needs to draw out a bit longer, more like this kind of thing. I think we need more data in this, but obviously we're still pretty tight in the middle here. But I would like to see something a little more like a full body, let's say, and then I'd like to see a flagpole that reveals to us a direction. Like the flagpole will reveal to us a price target from wherever we break out of this. And so I'd say, on the downside, we're headed back pretty much to where we started. On the upside, we're headed to that 12.5 to 12K area, 12.2, pretty much on the dot. And that's where we start landing in a little bit more of a bullish territory. But, we've definitely, we're talking yesterday about rounding off a little bit, and it seems to be the case. we could be coming back. I'm going to be very curious to see how these moving averages act, whether they act as support or they act, or we just fall through them, cut through them like a hot butter through knife. But well, did I say cut through them like a hot butter through knife?
You
That's
know, Joe references right there. Joe phrases. We'll quote you. But like you said, you need a couple of more days to feel comfortable and to see where you're going. I heard a bunch of good words in there. There was organic. There was neutral, which I think a lot of people in this space would be particularly excited to hear. So far I would say good things. But let's just shift gears here. Bitcoin Cash. We haven't spoken about Bitcoin Cash in a really long time. Seems to be up upwards of 6%. Why is that?
Okay, so I like to call that one B trash.
B trash, B cash. We get it, Joe.
Let's see. You want BCH? I'm pretty sure they kept the handle, or not the handle, the ticker. Let's do Bittrex. Bittrex tends to have a bit more. We'll just use Kraken for now. Let's see. Yeah, this is actually looking good. We've broken the wick space around here. We broke it on the second day. 21% move to the upside, followed by a series of some good moves. This is still pretty low in value, $282. We had a death cross of the short and long-term, intermediate and long-term moving averages and went stale. I really just think this pump was kind of an anomaly across the board for now. I mean, obviously it was, but I'm wondering, I'm not getting any data here that this is going to be sustained, but Bitcoin Cash does appear to have a more bullish outlook than the other ones. It's not really rounding off and creating a top and really signaling a serious pullback. But like the technicals here are very strong. I mean, these.
Joe, you sound upset.
I'm just very confused, and this is something that I talk about a lot to people that that are learning to trade and stuff. If when you're trading, your goal is to count cards. You want to make educated guesses and price predictions, otherwise you're going to be wrong and lose all your money. And so when you're confused, that's kind of a space where you don't really want to act. And I'm looking at these charts and I'm confused as to how Bitcoin Cash is not rounding off and creating a top. What's it doing differently? What's going on differently? I'm just trying to think about all these variables that could be affecting price, because I'm not, me, I don't like just looking at charts under a neutral lens, which some would disagree with. But if I was to look at this through a completely neutral lens, I know nothing about the space, I would actually say that this is looking good. But we did meet resistance at the 128-day moving average. So I'm inclined to think that we're going to continue to act as resistance for now, at least. I mean, we have a lot of wick space. There's a lot of rejection here, and I'm really curious to see when sellers are going to roll over. But they definitely capped us out perfectly on the dot at the 128-day moving average. So this is very technical activity going on. So I'm going to have to wait and see for this one a couple more days before I really get a clue. But there's definitely something more going on with Bitcoin Cash than something like Bitcoin on the daily. And there's one thing here I wanted to point out. This moving out, this MACD crossover and this MACD crossover, though still have something in common. We're starting to cup up a little bit there. But point is, where in Bitcoin Cash, we're kind of going up like this still a bit. And Bitcoin's already turned a corner. So I'm very curious as to why that's happening. But a little bit of a bullish crossover MACD. Yeah, so me, I don't really love too many indicators, but Bitcoin Cash is looking, it's actually, I would say right now it's looking bullish to me. It looks like we're probably going to come back up and fight this 128. And if I had to guess, we'd probably win, and we're probably going to make our way to the 200, if I had to guess.
We're going to have to tag Roger Ver on this on Twitter, Joe. Just, maybe you guys can have some sort of a conversation. But unfortunately, we're cut short for today. We've run out of time. So this is going to be just the Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash segment of the day. But thank you very much, Joe, for breaking those down for us. It was great to have you on as per usual. For all you folks at home watching at BLOCKTV.com, keep on watching for more cryptocurrency and blockchain related news.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.